Kronos ruled through fear. Fear of losing power, fear of being replaced. That fear shaped the world Zeus was born into. This is the rise of Zeus. Kronos didn't just act out of cruelty. He acted out of fear sharpened into logic. Kronos convinced himself the unthinkable was the only logical choice. He didn't just act out of madness. He acted out of so much fear that he wiped out his own children the second they were born. No warnings, no second chances. He swallowed them alive to make sure none of them could grow old enough to challenge him. But here's the strange part. One child slipped through his hands. Zeus survived because his mother tricked the Titan King with a rock wrapped in cloth, but Kronos never noticed the difference. He grew up hidden far away, watching the world his father controlled, and quietly preparing for the moment he'd return. But when he finally did come back, the world didn't just shift, it broke open. Because the one child Kronos failed to eliminate wasn't just another victim. He was the one who would bring down the entire age of the Titans. And that small mistake made the king's worst fear come true. It was the beginning of a rebellion that would reshape the entire universe. Before the Olympian gods, the universe belonged to the Titans. They weren't just giant beings from old stories. They represented an earlier generation of cosmic power. And at the top of that hierarchy sat Kronos. Kronos had taken power by force. He attacked his own father, Uranus, and seized control. That one act shaped the way he ruled from then on. If he could overthrow a king, someone else could overthrow him. But when the prophecy arrived saying his son would do exactly that, he panicked. Instead of preparing for a succession, he tried to do everything in his power to stop it entirely. But what Kronos didn't realize was that the very fear driving him would create the betrayal he was trying so desperately to prevent. Rhea, his wife, watched one child after another disappear into Kronos' stomach. By the time she reached her 6th pregnancy, she couldn't do it again. So she hid the newborn Zeus on a remote mountain and handed Kronos a stone instead. He swallowed it without question, and for a while, he believed his throne was safe. Meanwhile, Zeus grew up with people who understood the danger he represented. He wasn't raised like a prince waiting for his crown. He was raised like a survivor who knew the world he would inherit was broken. Every story he heard about Kronos taught him the same lesson. The universe was controlled by someone terrified of losing it. Zeus didn't grow up dreaming of power. He grew up studying it, watching from the outside how fear twists rulers and how control is taken, kept, and misused. And even as he rose toward the destiny everyone whispered about, a quiet question followed him. Would he truly break the cycle, or simply learn to play the same game better? Zeus grew older, and he realized he couldn't stay hidden forever. The prophecy wasn't going away, and Kronos' paranoia wasn't slowing down. The Titan King continued ruling through fear and tightening his grip on the world. Anyone he couldn't control, he suppressed. Anyone he couldn't suppress, he punished. Zeus understood that if he wanted to challenge Kronos, he couldn't do it alone. Titans were massive, ancient beings with power entrenched for generations. Zeus needed allies, especially the ones Kronos had pushed aside. He discovered that deep underground, Kronos had imprisoned the Cyclops, master craftsmen with the ability to forge weapons no one had ever seen. Even further, he found the 100-handers, enormous beings with incredible strength, locked away simply because Kronos feared what they might become. Zeus did the one thing Kronos never considered. He approached the outcasts like people, not threats. But it wasn't pure kindness. It was calculation wrapped in empathy. He knew that every ally Kronos had buried was another crack in the Titan King's armor. So he offered them freedom in exchange for support. No tricks, no bribes, just a shared chance to rise against the ruler who had erased them. And it worked. The Cyclops and the 100-handers sided with him. But each alliance came with its own risk. The more power Zeus gathered, the more he started to mirror the very strategies he claimed to oppose. His quiet rebellion was beginning to look less like defiance and more like a rival kingdom taking shape. Still, one challenge remained. The siblings Kronos had swallowed. They weren't dead, just trapped, suspended in the dark. Freeing them meant unleashing forces he couldn't fully predict. But it was the only way to form a coalition strong enough to challenge the Titans. Zeus was ready to take the risk, even if the cost wasn't clear yet. The first strike in the war against Kronos wasn't a battle, it was a trick. And that irony mattered. Zeus didn't storm the throne with brute force. He used the very tactic Kronos had built his reign on: deception. Disguised as a simple servant, he walked into the Titan's hall and offered a cup of mead. What Kronos didn't realize was that the drink carried a potion powerful enough to drag out everything he had swallowed over the years. In the end, the king who tried to outsmart fate was undone by the same strategy he once used to survive. The moment Kronos drank it, the entire room changed. He bent over, started choking, and his body basically began rejecting everything he had taken in. First came the stone Rhea had given him years ago. Then came the gods he had consumed: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. They emerged fully grown, furious, and more than ready to fight. In a single move, Zeus didn't just weaken the king, he suddenly had an army standing beside him, and these weren't random allies. These were gods with a personal score to settle. Kronos realized what was happening immediately. He knew the prophecy was finally catching up to him, so he called the Titans, gathered every loyal fighter he had left, and prepared for the war he'd spent years trying to avoid. Zeus and his newly freed siblings took their position on Mount Olympus, while Kronos and the Titans fortified Mount Othrys. The universe was officially split into two sides, and there was no turning back. The war between the Titans and the Olympians wasn't a short conflict. It was a generational reckoning, children rising against the very world that shaped them. Every strike, every clash, carried the weight of a family tearing itself apart, not just gods battling in the sky. Greek mythology describes it as a 10-year struggle that shook the entire world. A war so intense that the mountains themselves became weapons and the sky turned into a battlefield. The Titans fought with raw, ancient power. They represented the old natural forces, the kind that shaped the world before humans ever existed. Their strength came from age, size, and a long-established rule. But Zeus brought something different to the fight. He brought coordination, intelligence, and strategy. He didn't rely on brute force. He relied on teamwork and the alliances he had carefully built. The Cyclops forged him a weapon that would define his image forever: the lightning bolt. Not as a symbol, but as a real weapon, fast, precise, and powerful in a way the Titans had never encountered. Poseidon controlled the seas. Hades struck from the shadows of the underworld. The 100-handers hurled boulders faster than the Titans could defend. And Zeus directed the entire movement from Olympus like a commander who understood exactly how to bring down a larger opponent. For 10 long years, neither side gave up ground easily. The world shook from the force of their battles. The sky was lit with fire and lightning. Entire regions were reshaped in the crossfire. The final confrontation between Zeus and Kronos has been retold in many ways. Some versions say Zeus shattered Kronos' sickle. Others say the Titan King fell to the combined assault of all the Olympians. But the outcome was the same in every telling. As a result, Kronos fell. The Titan army collapsed. The old world ended. But just as Zeus began securing his victory, a new threat emerged. One far more dangerous than Kronos. Zeus didn't get much time to celebrate. Defeating the Titans was only the first part of establishing a new order. As the Olympians started to claim control, something stirred in the depths of Tartarus, the prison where the defeated Titans were held. That something was Typhon. Not just another threat, but the real test of Zeus's legitimacy. Overthrowing Kronos had proved Zeus could take a throne. Facing Typhon would determine whether he truly deserved to keep it. In mythology, Typhon wasn't just a monster. He was the ultimate challenge, a creature so large and powerful that even the gods hesitated to face him. The ancient Greeks described him as a force of pure chaos, a living natural disaster created as the Earth's final attempt to resist the new rulers. Typhon's arrival was so catastrophic that storms erupted and mountains split into halves. The ground itself seemed to revolt. Every sign pointed to one truth: Zeus's rule wasn't secured yet. If Typhon won, everything the Olympians fought for would collapse. Zeus had to face him directly. This wasn't about rebellion anymore. This was about proving he was strong enough not just to overthrow a king, but to lead a world. The battle between Zeus and Typhon was the final, defining moment of Zeus's rise. The two forces clashed across the world in ways ancient storytellers could barely describe. Typhon's strength came from the earth itself, while Zeus's lightning forced the sky to answer to him. In the end, Zeus managed to overpower Typhon using the weapon the Cyclops crafted for him. He struck with enough force to drive the creature back into Tartarus, where he sealed him permanently. Only then was the new order truly established. Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades divided the world into three realms: the sky, the sea, and the underworld. Mount Olympus became the new center of divine authority, a place where the gods ruled and decisions about the world were made. Zeus was finally the king of gods and men. He brought stability, structure, and a system of justice that didn't exist under Titan rule. But even with this new order in place, the huge question remained. Was he different from Kronos, or was this simply a new version of the same cycle? Zeus's rise to power is often told as a victory story, but when you look closely, it's really a story about fear, rebellion, and the dangerous cost of controlling the world. Kronos ruled through fear and paranoia. Zeus rose up because of those same fears, and once he sat on the throne, he had to make decisions that were just as heavy. The ancient Greeks didn't tell this story to celebrate a hero. They told it to explain how power shifts from one generation to the next, and how every new ruler carries the pressure of the one before. Zeus ended the rule of a tyrant, but he also inherited the fears that created him. And that leaves a darker question hanging over the victory. Not just whether Zeus was any different, but whether power itself ever escapes the cycle that creates it.